the more I gave free value, the more the DIY me. I didn't understand why until it was too late. I'll never forget that one post where I completely broke down my entire content cadence, like from the scratch, like starting from how to come up with content ideas, like proven ideas, how to come up with proven hooks that works. Then not only that, actually repurposing styles and ideas and thoughts, and how can we, kind of do reverse engineering and use the content to come up with some stories and emails from the existing content. It's more of a repurposing thing. And I remember doing everything on it, like structuring the content properly. I remember calling it Steal My Content Cadence, and that was the training that I did. I remember another one. So where I was giving away my entire DM script, starting from the frameworks, the scripts, like by word, objection handling, everything in it. And if you would love, I would love to let you know, like, what was the feedback that I got from, after giving away such kind of amazing content resources to my prospects. Some said, this is gold. I would love to use it and I'll get back to you. Some said, hey, I'm going to use it today and I'll report like what happened with me the next following day. Did they? Absolutely not. It is what it is, and that's when I realized, they're never going to come back to me and they're never going to hire me for that, because I, being a coach, I'm doing the service. I'm trying to help them by giving away the best resources that I have, but in return, I'll never get them back to me because there's a flaw in the process. Okay, so as you can see my screen here right now, you see a diagram which on the left we have low clarity as well as high. Let's assume these are your self-esteem of your clients. This is the area where they have low self-esteem. This is where they get clarity, and this is where they feel they are the top of the world. They can do all by themselves. All right. So normally, initially, your clients have low intensity, right? They feel they are having tension. They feel they are frustrated. They have some goals and desires they would love to reach, but it's not. They're not getting there. Whereas in you being the coach, I'm not talking about you, but I see a lot of coaches do this, are doing a severe mistake. Because if you look at the diagram, this is the line, this is where you are losing your clients. What you're trying to do is you're trying to come up with more educational content, more tips and tricks, more value content. You would love to give them like a purpose, a kind of clarity in their life, and hence you're kind of trying to relieve the pressure for them, to kind of to help them in order to get success. And you feel if you can really nurture them well, if you can really kind of create content that they can get value from, they'll come back to you. And that's just the opposite, because I see coaches, consultants, they do it completely wrong. So instead, what they do is they try to move their prospects above this line to just provide clarity, and hence they create how to content. So I'll just write it down here. They do how to content, tips, tricks, you name it, like what else? Value post, like step by step, like frameworks and all that stuff. Because they feel, if I can provide more value to the audience, they'll come running to me. Instead, once you're doing that, you're turning them, they're going away from this low self-esteem to a clarity zone where they feel, okay, I can go through this, all this document or the resources, the content that you're giving away. If I can go ahead and, implement all of this, I feel I can do it myself. So that's when they have clarity, and that's when they realize, okay, I can do it all by myself. So they move from clarity zone to the high esteem zone. So instead of trying to create pressure, you're kind of giving them comfort and high self-esteem. So they feel that they can do it all by themselves. So you're kind of like unknowingly creating a DIY culture here, where they feel super confident. They feel, I have everything in place. I can implement all these ChatGPT prompts and all these resources, and I can do it myself. And hence they don't hire you for their goals or for their business, for their life, whatever that is, what kind of coach you are, right? So you are creating a DIY culture without knowing the fact that you're doing it. So instead of moving them from this tension, frustration, desire that they have in the current low esteem state, instead of moving them to clarity, and so that they eventually go to the higher esteem state and create a DIY culture, Your job is to get them, like if they're at low esteem right now, keep them just below this line. Get them just here in this particular zone. You know how to do that? I'll explain like what needs to be done to get there. Now, in order for them to kind of have the tension, the frustration, because they don't need someone to kind of show them what needs to be done. They don't need clarity. They need resemblance. They need to have a shift that shows people, okay, this is what you're doing. Instead, this is how I do it. Like think differently, kind of create a brain inception in their mind. So that's what's missing. You're instead of creating resonance, you're creating clarity. Your job here would be to kind of have, create an identity mirroring effect. Emotional activation, I would rather say. So your job is to make sure you're doing the identity mirroring through your content or the resource that you're providing. At the same time, you're creating an emotional activation that they feel, oh, this is the person who's speaking to me. Because I know I get people reaching out to me and saying, hey, are you in my head? Because my content, the resource that I give away, is speaking directly to them. That's what you should be doing instead. So now the question might be, okay, how to do that? Like how to create that identity mirroring or emotional activation in your prospects through your content, the resources you're providing. So there are 3 ways to do that. In your content or the resource that you're providing, make sure you're implementing these 3 things together. Number 1 being the identity. That's super, super important, because just to let you know, people don't buy programs or coaching, they generally buy coaches. If they can resonate with you, if they can, feel the connection with you, if they resonate with your thought process, your values, your principle, you are the first person for them. So every content, every resource that you create should talk about the identity, like who you are as the person. It should sell you first, your values and your principles. Once you do that, the next thing is your big ideas, something that you believe in, like your approach, your philosophy of doing things. For example, I don't like virality. I then don't choose virality likes engagement. I choose alignment over virality. That's one of my big ideas. Number 2 is I don't do value content. I throw rocks at value content and educational content. I rather create shift content, that shows people, how I am doing things differently than them. It creates a light bulb moment for them, like an aha moment for them, and they reach out to me. That's number 2. Third would be, I don't like cheesing. I don't like following up. I don't like, having conversation with the cold prospects, to get clients. I don't do cheese, don't do it with force. I rather work with my inbound leads coming to me because I know they're aligned, they're resonating with my story, my ideas, my principles, my values. And hence, those are some of my big ideas. If your prospect believes and agrees to your big ideas, selling your program is easy, because yes, your program, your coaching just becomes the right next step for them if they agree to your big ideas. Whereas if you're making the mistake and you're selling your like why you're better than the rest, that's completely wrong. You shouldn't be doing that at all, because it will be very, very difficult for you as a coach to sell people on like why your program is the best, because you being a high ticket coach can have an offer which looks exactly like someone in your niche. Okay, you don't need to have an amazing crazy guarantees in your offer to sell your program consistently. It's all about who you are, what kind of identity they would love to possess. If that's you, your offer just become the next step for them. So that's number 2. And number 3 is your mechanisms. Like what are the supporting frameworks or kind of implementation process that they should be following along to get the results, to be that identity you promised, who you are, and to get the big ideas into flow in action. So those are the mechanisms. So if you can blend all these 3 things together, not only create shift, like a big belief shift for your prospect, at the same time, you're creating that emotional activation, because it works amazingly, like just like a charm, so that your identity mirroring also comes into play, because they see themselves in you in the longer run. Hence, they just want to be like you in the longer run. So your offer, whatever the service that you're providing, just becomes the right next step for them. All right. So I hope this was useful. If you have any questions regarding this, feel free to leave a comment down below. And I'm trying to create such videos every week now, like multiple times a week. So a like, a subscribe would definitely make it worthwhile. At the same time, if you can turn on the bell notification so that I always come up with new videos, you'll get to know about it. And on a quick note, this 24th May on Saturday, I'm doing a live workshop around creating content that's going to help you attract like inbound, pre-sold, so your soulmate clients. Like you're going to get one inbound lead a day. That's a promise using the content framework that we teach. If you want to have like the details about the workshop, comment the word disrupt below this video. I'll definitely share this details with you. All right. See you in the next one. Ciao.